Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Yes, this is the place where you can find the answers to your mental health, relationship, and family questions. I'm your host, Jim Hewitt. Glad you've tuned in today. I think you're going to find today's topic very interesting, so I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Glad that you've decided to join me again this week. I want to talk to you about something that really the thought comes from one of my favorite movies. It was filmed a long time ago, came out a long time ago, but I think there's a good message in it. And the movie is Shawshank Redemption. And if you've seen that movie before, you know that it's about a guy by the name of Andy who was falsely accused and falsely charged and falsely imprisoned because he was charged with murdering his wife and her lover. She was cheating on him, and supposedly, he had come in and found them together and shot both of them. The only thing is, he didn't do it, and there was proof that he didn't do it if you've seen the movie. Well, there's a particular part of that movie that is what I want to zero in on today, and it's where Andy, the character Andy, and the character Red are out in the prison yard, and they're talking about this whole thing of getting busy living or get busy dying. And I got to thinking about that. That's really what life is about, isn't it? It's get busy living or get busy dying. Now, I want to take just a few minutes. I'm going to show you a clip from that movie, Shawshank Redemption, in which these two characters, Andy and Red, they're sitting in the prison yard, and they're talking about this whole idea of hope and hopelessness. Hope versus hopelessness, and Andy talks about this whole idea of getting busy living or get busy dying. And so watch this clip, and then I'll come back after it's over, okay?
You think you'll ever get out of here?
Me? Yeah. One day, when I got a long white beard and 2 or 3 marbles rolling around upstairs, they let me out.
I'll tell you where I'd go. Zihuatanejo.
So, what?
Zihuatanejo. It's in Mexico. A little place on the Pacific Ocean. You know what the Mexicans say about the Pacific?
No.
They say it has no memory. That's where I want to live the rest of my life. A warm place with no memory. Open up a little hotel right on the beach. Buy some worthless old boat and fix it up new. Take my guests out charter fishing.
Zihuatanejo.
In a place like that, I could use a man that knows how to get things.
I don't think I could make it on the outside, Andy. I've been in here most of my life. I'm an institutional man now. It's like Brooks was.
Wow, you underestimate yourself.
I don't think so. I mean, in here, I'm the guy who can get things for you, sure, but outside, all you need is the yellow pages. Hell, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Pacific Ocean? Shit. About to scare me to death, something that big.
Not me. I didn't shoot my wife, and I didn't shoot her lover. Whatever mistakes I made, I paid for them and then some. That hotel, that boat, I don't think that's too much to ask.
I don't think you ought to be doing this to yourself, Andy. This is just shitty pipe dreams. I mean, Mexico is way the hell down there, and you're in here, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, right. That's the way it is. It's down there, and I'm in here. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Wow. Wow. What a powerful message that is. Get busy living or get busy dying. Now, when you think about that, that's really, I think, a good philosophy of life. Get busy living or get busy dying. See, we sometimes think about in terms of what we're going to do. When we get up of a morning, are we going to get busy living or are we going to get busy dying? Now think about it for a second. Why is it that we need to get busy living? It's kind of like Andy said in the clip. It really comes down to two choices. Either you get busy living or you get busy dying. Sometimes we're guilty of hanging on to pleasant thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, or unpleasant experiences, and we just kind of hang on to them and nurse them, and they stay with us, and they permeate our thinking, and they permeate what we do, our behavior. But oftentimes, what happens is that the more we think about those things, it seems like the worse things get. Think about that. Get busy living or get busy dying. And because you and I fill our minds with those negative experiences, and because we continually hang on to those things, it's kind of like pulling around excess baggage with us all over the place. We live our life by how we perceive it. I want to say that again. We live our life by how we perceive it. Either I'm going to get busy living and I'm going to enjoy life to the fullest, or I'm going to get busy dying. I'm just going to have this negative attitude and the negative behavior that goes along with it, and things are never going to turn out good. They're never going to turn out good for me. I want to ask you a question. Do you look at things happening to you or for you? Do things happen to you or do they happen for you? See, if they happen to you, then you're busy dying. If they're happening for you, you're busy living. And what I mean by that is we learn from those experiences. We learn life lessons from those experiences that we have. And so that's why we need to get busy living. Now, how do we do that, right? I've kind of given you some ideas about we need to get busy living instead of busy dying. But how in the world do we do that? Well, I want to give you 5 things. Number 1 is to know what your priorities are. Know what your priorities are. Now you might say, well, everything's priority. From the moment my feet hit the floor in the morning to the moment I go to bed at night, everything is priority. Well, that's where things kind of get all messed up. See, balance is really important. Living a balanced life is really important. Balance doesn't entail cramming everything you can, every possible activity into one day or one night. I see this all the time with people that come into my office. They're just all whacked out. They're all stressed out because life has become so busy. And I get it. We all live busy lives, but sometimes we bring that on ourselves because we fail to set proper priorities. Avoid becoming overwhelmed by juggling so many projects. Think about it. If you're watching this on Monday, think about all the projects you've got going. Think about that. And it's kind of like, juggling, the juggler who juggles all these balls, and you're trying to keep them all in the air, and eventually something's going to fall. Well, that's what this is like when we don't set priorities. Typically, what I suggest is that you have no more per day, no more than 3 priorities per day, and that no more than 4 priorities for a month, and no more than 5 priorities for a 6-month period. Now think about how your life could be ordered in a better way, and that you could be busy living instead of just grinding out every day. See, if you're just grinding out every day, I often ask people, are you living or sucking in air and taking up space? Which one is it? Are you living or are you sucking in air and taking up space? Because there's a big difference. And if you think about it, you'll realize that how big a difference. Not knowing what we want to do in a given day or a given moment is what leads us to being all stressed out. So number 1 here is to know what your priorities are. If you want to get busy living, know what your priorities are. Number 2 is to create an efficient mindset. You want to get busy living? Create an efficient mindset. My dad always, and I guess a lot of fathers, said this to their kids, but my dad used to always say to us kids, learn to work smarter, not harder. Learn to work smarter, not harder. Create an efficient mindset. Now this is more than just calendaring, okay? I'm not talking about just calendaring, although it involves that. This is a mindset, an efficient mindset. Be organized in your head, be organized, and plan ahead as much as possible. Now, I realize that life gets in the way. I get that. Life gets in the way, but we need to be planning ahead. That's because, see, listen, here's the real truth. We all have 24 hours a day. We all have 7 days, okay? All of us have that. So if we're, now think about it, if we've got our priorities straight, then the next thing is to create an efficient mindset. Take time at the beginning of each week to assess what needs to be done. Look at the calendar. I'm a calendar kind of person. Look at your calendar and assess what needs to happen for each day. Be sure to allow, in that time frame now, be sure to allow time for downtime. All of us need downtime. Whether your day off is during some day during the week, or if it's on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, allow time, recreation time, whatever that recreation is. Maybe you're going to get outside and do something. If the weather's fine and not raining or whatever, do that. Maybe you're going to spend time with the family. Maybe you're going to do a solitary kind of activity. Maybe you're going to go to the lake. You're going to do all of the. We need to have that balance to where it's not always work. Create an efficient mindset. Now I know, some of you who have children, I know what you're going to say, and you're probably already saying it, right? You're saying, well, but you don't understand. I've got 5 kids. I've got 6 kids. I've got 3 kids. I've got 4 kids. Well, if you create an efficient mindset with yourself, then you'll be able to handle those kinds of things, particularly all the stuff that comes along with raising kids. Sometimes, if we're too busy, we need to think about, how about backing off some things? Never hurts. Doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. Doesn't mean you're a bad person if you start backing off. Sometimes the best thing to say in trying to create an efficient mindset, sometimes the best thing to say is no. It's interesting that we learn that word no when we're 2 years old, and we love saying it when we're 2, 3, 4, and 5 and as a kid, but when we grow up we have a hard time saying no, particularly if you're a person who likes to please people. Listen, create create an efficient mindset. After you set those priorities, create an efficient mindset. Number 3 is to expect the unexpected. No matter how much you and I plan, okay, life is going to get in the way. It's just going to get in the way. Rather than get stressed out and upset and you know, kind of fly off the handles, learn to roll with the punches. Now, for some, that's a little harder than others. You know, if I've got my day planned out and you know, I get a curve thrown at me, yeah, it takes me a little while to regroup. My wife would be the first one to tell you that. But if you get stuck in traffic, or your computer could crash, or your child could get sick, and you know, you have a day planned out, or you're going to work and you have a day planned out, and your child is at school, and you get a phone call, or you get a text, or you get an email saying that your child is sick. Oh, now my plans have just gone out the window. I got to regroup here. So expect expect the unexpected. Be able to adjust your game plan. Be flexible. Don't be so rigid that if something happens, it just, you know, you blow a cork, you get mad, you say things you shouldn't say, you blow up at other people, and it just ruins your day. No, expect the unexpected. Number 4, and this may sound a little weird, but okay, figure out how you want what you want your life to look like. Figure out what you want your life to look like. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, I'm 45, I'm 50 years old, or I'm older, or I'm 25. No, sit down and figure out what do you want your life to look like in a year? What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? What would you like your life to look like in 10 years? Now, people often struggle to hope for a better tomorrow because they don't even know what that might look like. Get busy living, get busy dying. They don't even have an idea what it looks like. And so, you know, they sit and they say, and they complain about their lot in life, and they complain that things are so terrible, and you know, it's terrible this, terrible that, and my life is just awful. But then, well, what would that look like for you? What would it look like for things to be better? I don't know. Well, figure that out. See? Because otherwise you're busy dying instead of busy living. Before you can have hope, it might be necessary for you to figure out what type of life you imagine is most desirable for you. You know, you hear a lot about these folks who win the lottery, and you know, everybody, you know, they're you know, throwing money away, and or the Publishers Clearinghouse, you know, and you know, you can have $25,000 a week for life, and you know, the mega bucks, you know, $2.4 million or $300 million, and yet people will say, well, you know, what would you do with that? And then those who have won often come back and report that their life is really miserable because of it. What does it look like? What does your life look like? What would you like it to be like? Figure out what you would like it to be like, and then go pursue that. Now, you know, there's things you may have to do. You may have to go back to school. You may have to hone up on some skills. You know, what do you want your life to look like? What would success look like to you? Is it just simply financial? Is it simply having a big mansion, kind of a house? Is it having a better car? Is it limited to those kind of things? What kind of life would you like to have? And so, number 4 here in our effort to get busy living is to figure out how you want your life to look. And number 5, I think in order for us to really get busy living, we need to embrace the foundational understanding of what real hope is. Real hope. I've often said that, you know, you could strip a person of everything they have. You could strip them of their finances, their job, their family, their house, their belongings, but and they will survive. They'll keep going. They'll figure it out. But if you strip a person of their hope, you strip them of everything. Many times we'll hear from men, women who have been prisoners of war, particularly during the Vietnam War, and some of them have been in a prison called the Hanoi Hilton. And one of the things that they tell over and over and over again, every one of them to an individual will say that the one thing that kept them going was hope. And when one prisoner started losing hope, the others would gather around them and kind of bolster them and encourage them. I'm talking about real hope here. Now, there's really two kinds of hope. Number one is the human kind of hope, which is based on human activities. For example, a person who has hope for a better world will do things that are conducive to that goal. There's the self-absorbed type of hope that is all about themselves, that I can do this. It's more about greed. Greed is good, and I want more. The more I get, the more I want, and the more I want, the more I get. Then there's this kind of pie in the sky kind of thing, this wishful thinking that is more. I think of it in terms of more of a passive hope. And then there's this wishful thinking that I just want the best of life, but I'm just going to sit here and it'll come to me. Well, how's that working for you? See, that's more passive living is more like dying. Get busy dying. So that's the human kind of hope, but there's a bigger, better kind of hope, and that's what I refer to as biblical hope. Biblical hope has the confidence that God is in control of all this, that God will has my future in mind, and that I need to have a positive view of who God is, that God loves me and cares for me and wants the very best for me. He created me and sustains me and has blessed me. So that my hope, I'm remembering an old song that we used to sing many years ago. Don't hear it that much anymore. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. See, human hope is based upon the stuff that I can see and touch. But biblical hope is based upon a foundation in a God who created all of this and wants to bless me more than I am willing to be blessed. That wants me to thrive, and wants me to be successful, and wants me to be a blessing to others. That's the biblical hope. It's a hope that is beyond anything I can imagine. I believe that hope is something like this. It's believing in that which you cannot see as though you can see it. Believing in that which you cannot see as though you can see it. That because God is who He says He is, and God has done what He says He has done, that God wants the very best for me, and there is my hope. And when I have that kind of hope, I can get busy living. See, Andy's hope in the Shawshank Redemption, his hope is that one day he'll be out of prison. Now, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, he escapes from this prison that he was unjustly sentenced to, life in prison. And now, and what kept him going day after day after day, and all the hardships that he endured there, was this sense of hope. Every little bit was hope. Hope not based upon just what he saw around him, but hope in a better future. Now, let me just kind of wrap this up just a little bit. See, when you think about it, kind of like what Andy said, we only have two choices. We can get busy living, or we can get busy dying. You really don't have any other choice than that. Get busy living, or get busy dying. Like Andy in that movie, he was faced with the prospect of living a life of nothingness and dying in prison, but he chose to get busy living. It was a choice that he made. See, Jesus said that I have come to give you life, not just an ordinary life, but a superabundance of life. I want to bless you more than you can even contain. That's living. See, that's living. That's not living based upon just what's going on this moment, but it's based upon a hope in a person that wants the very, very, very best for me. So you see, it's really that simple. You get busy living, or you get busy dying. Which will you choose? Get busy living, or get busy dying? I hope and trust that you will decide this day, today, to get busy living. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. If something I have said today has raised some questions or concerns, something that you would like to talk to somebody about, there's 3 ways that you can contact me. You can contact me by phone. My phone number is 573-732-4575. Again, that's 573-732-4575. The second way to get in contact with me is through my email. My email is lifelineonline@hotmail.com. Again, that's lifelineonline@hotmail.com. A third way is if you're watching this by Facebook, you can private message me. I would love to hear from you. Give me your contact information, or you can ask me a question, but private message me, and I promise I'll get back with you. I want you beginning today to get busy living and not busy dying. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you right here next week on Lifeline for Daily Living.